Hey, it's us. We have
Hello,
returned.
Hold
universe.
on.
We're back.
We are indeed back. I've got my Hobbit tea and scone.
Good.
I've
Just gonna
got
show off
my.
the jam on top of this cream to make British people have
I ordered
angry
in
arguments.
some Fey egg tarts
Ooh.
of questionable nature. I don't know what kind of eggs they are, but they look good.
I love that they are.
Basilisk eggs.
They've fully got the space in them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, when we last left our heroes, are we all good, chat, by the way? Have we got the audio come
Looks
on
like good
back?
Ijo
audio.
says hello with audio.
Hello with audio. I do indeed see that.
Nice.
All right. So you guys have climbed down from the roof. Tromlin and Ugna
Yep.
alight gently next to the rest of you. And Copernicus, you remember off to the side is of course the family crypts and the edge of the swamp, and then there is of course the house itself. There's the greenhouses around the one side, which are full of dead plants and fungus, and then there's the house itself with the catacombs and all the rest. So where do you want to start?
I think I should probably start, but I don't know how much of this is like Peter doesn't know this, but Pernie would even without a history roll, and how much of this is Pernie needs a history roll. But like the Sunshine family funereal practices slash, because a lot of us do have like existence after death. Um, like what is the custom for like if someone's kind of half dead or like dead but lingering? How
You
would
do get a
you arrange?
grave.
Yeah, what is the break the news to your daughter that her mother died decades ago, and you haven't shared that yet? Protocol here. So I'd like to
Well,
make a history check.
mm-hmm. Sure.
And with this, I think there's also a little bit of like what would help Lucretia, like what would make this the smoothest for Lucretia. Hey, finally. 19 on the die for 29.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So there's several things here. One is that the funereal practices are very variable because, as you point out, lots of family members are not actually dead. So it is family practice to have crypts, right? So very a la Adam's family, the family sort of graveyard, and mausoleums are all there in the property, extending back away from the fence from the house. Um, and out there's lots of actual gravestones of different relatives that have passed on in various ways, with like statuary and mausoleum and so forth. Some family members use those mausoleums. So, for example, if you've got like a family member who's like some type of vampiric undead, they might still be in that crypt when they hang out and come and go. Um, but in many cases, there's no point in having a memorial because that person is still very much up and wandering around. Um, Also, this is not the only uh, uh, place that the family has lived over the centuries, and so it's not like the entire family is here. Um, just sort of this branch of the family in this region. Um, Third thing is because you never told your daughter that Barb died, it is safe to assume that there is no memorial here for Barb, right? Because
Yeah.
like
That's why we're
Barb
digging
was like
graves.
perfectly alive wandering around, and then when Barb did in fact pass on, all of the components thereof were placed in the bucket. um, so
what Pernie's looking for here is less like to like have a big list of like funeral procedures. It's more to like what would be something that would be
What would be an
fitting.
appropriate way?
Yeah, would be fitting, appropriate, and like personal enough to Lucretia that it would mean something to as a way of like passing on the news, acknowledging the moment, and giving her her own relationship to it. I think that's what Pernie is kind of grasping for here.
So the obvious thing to do is probably not something that you want to do, which might be to like actually place those remains in a a structure here, like to build something in terms of a memorial that would contain the remains. But obviously, you don't want to do that because you want to keep those remains with you. Um, the second sort of option in that same vein might be to create some sort of memorial, but not necessarily, but like more ceremonially um, uh, uh, link that to Barb. So something more like this is the mausoleum sort of thing, but not actually have Barb's like remains in it. Um, but I also you made the history check, so like yeah, you're pretty comfortable with your memories about different sorts of ceremonies and memorial services and structures that you have been involved with in this place in the past. But make me an occult roll as well.
Oregon's gonna guidance Pernie.
I will take that guidance, and I'm going to use an inspiration.
She's gonna give it to him by lighting a doobie, lighting two, giving one to him and having one herself, and then offering some to the other people.
How do you bury someone who's not dead? Oh,
Ugla politely declines.
there we go. There we go. That was a well worth the inspiration. That's a 28.
Oh wow. Okay.
Nice.
No, there are cutoffs here that you have exceeded because of that. So yeah. So you are dealing with, for example, not only ceremonial stuff here that's really straightforward. Like yeah, you remember when, um, you know, Auntie such and such passed away, or when one of your goddaughters or one of your nephews or something along those lines was put to rest. Like you've got lots of those memories of different family members being interred or buried, otherwise having ceremonies. It's the scene from the Addams Family first film where Morticia takes Fester around to show him the graveyard and make comments about how these two were torn apart by an angry mob, and here are the ones who were, here's the family motto: we gladly feast on those who would subdue us, and so on and so forth. You've got lots of memories of that, no problem. You're very certain that you could pull together an appropriate service. But remember that you've got a secondary goal here in that you're trying to renew trying to renew and restore Barb. And while you're not going to be able to find any parts of Barb, because all of Barb's remains would have been in the bucket, you might very well, in searching the house, be able to find some items or personal effects, because you certainly know lots of those. And with your history roll, I'm going to let you remember some of them that you wouldn't have carried around with you all the time, because it's too difficult to, like, there's only so much that fits in the bucket. And Barb had various things. But additionally, Um, there is uh, magic that is used to manage the creation, and therefore potentially the healing. I'm going to put that in very strong quotations with lots of question marks around it, of undead. And if there's anywhere you're going to be able to find some accoutrement or otherwise speak to individuals who could assist with such an endeavor, it would be here.
Pernie,
Yes.
so that is Barb gesturing to the bucket.
That's Barb's remains. Most of them reside in the bucket. Yes.
Only body?
Only body, and I imagine like the clothes she was burned with or something like that. But yeah.
The world of the undead, that's not my business. And also, I don't know your life.
Undead? What do you mean?
But also, like, I have thought that maybe you are dragging her around for your sake. But I don't know. I don't know what happened, how she ended up this way, or if you are trying to do anything about it, or if you are holding on. And that's not my realm in any way, shape, or form, and that's why I've not pushed. But what is your goal with her?
So, long term, I don't love talking about this stuff, but I know that sometimes it helps to call things what they are and say them plain a little bit. So, Barb has unfinished business, and Barb and I, as a couple, have unfinished business. Um, and I certainly would miss her if she left, but I'm not the only reason that she lingers. I know that she has things from her life, designs to finish, and also we had a little list of things we are going to do together, and we're still working on it. Um, so that's
Oh, is
the
that
two
your
of us.
bucket list? I get
That's
it,
the
bucket. It's a bucket list.
it's the bucket list. That is exactly right, Ugna. That is exactly right. Um, Pernie goes to things he's added to the bucket list since the Adventures of the Trashers is starting to process off. Get Ugna to understand the bucket list pun. It's like we did that.
You check it off.
Yeah.
Finally.
But just for today, most important to me is to make this news uh, as meaningful and processable as I can for Lucretia. And if in that time I can also find anything that would strengthen Barb's connection, I should like to find those things and see if I can give her more of a presence in this ceremony. Um, and if there's enough things, perhaps even leave something for Lucretia to be able to um, contact her mother when she needs her mother. Because it would not be fair for me to have Barb all to myself. So that's
Hey,
tonight what I'm trying to do most urgently.
Okay.
Pernie,
How do we do that?
a question for you. So you need basically bits of Barb to give her strength, right?
Yeah, objects she had a connection with.
What about blood of descendants?
Hmm. Pernie makes a perception check on the GM's eyebrows to see how interested he is.
Well, obviously, it's going to at least partly depend on how dilute that blood is.
Um,
How much of it is your own?
well, there is one way to find out. Can I do a little like DNA my grandson blood ritual just to get a little sense of how?
Well, I think it wouldn't even be a blood ritual, right? Like, you know, as as a real world geneticist and not an undead geneticist, no, you can, but you know how many generations it's been, so you know exactly how dilute his blood would be from Barb, right? Ideally, if you wanted the blood to be as close to Barb's as possible, you need the next generation.
Yeah, I need Lucretia's.
Exactly.
Well, I'm not gonna make that ask. That she'll make her own. She'll know that, and she'll make her own decisions there. I think that just even the gesture of like a drop of blood from Tromlin would mean a lot. So Pernie will like add that. He's building his mental cauldron of things that we can brew with here, and he's adding a little drop of Tromlin's blood to the symbolic one. For the memorial, also, I think Pernie's gonna ransack his mind palace for whatever if there's ever like a childhood like specific name by which Lucretia called Barb, like a a version of Mummy where she couldn't say it right, or like something cute like that. Pernie wants to make sure that that makes it onto whatever the memorial is. So it's like Barb
Aw.
Hotep, Mummy, the sun's radiance. So Pernie's making efforts. He's trying to do this right. And I think for once he's actually not in cover his ass scramble. I think he's legitimately trying to, like, his first priority is actually making this something that is beautiful and meaningful for Lucretia, and his secondary motivation, which is not absent, but his secondary motivation is like make himself look a little less worse than he is. Yeah. So I think what he'll probably do is give Tromlin some notes on like, would you be willing to officiate a little service? Perhaps you could write something, and I'll share memories of Barb that involving Barb and Lucretia. A couple things from Barb and Mai's adventure. I don't actually know if Pernie remembers how Barb died. Peter, don't know. I don't know if there's a role involved here in trying to recover that information.
There's a bunch of, so I was going to say we can start making some history checks, some memory delving. Peter never established in his background how Barb died, but it is quite possible that Copernicus doesn't know, and I think that is likely.
Okay.
Boy.
Well, then I won't talk about how she died. I'll focus on the memories that I do have, and it's more of a storytelling bit. And then
you could still make that roll. So let's start with some rolls here. I want, like, let's do 3 history rolls.
Guidance.
And honestly, this is almost not even history. This is almost like just you remembering. So it's intelligence.
Dredging up
Less than
suppressed
history.
memories.
raw
Can we
intelligence.
do? Can we do a seance about it? Actually,
Oh, that'd be great.
can we? Can we get high in the garden? Can we?
So-
like smoke a bowl of sage, and then maybe give Pernie some mushrooms about it.
The one
You're
thing,
not
Not even
doing
work
any
on
more
him. He's
hallucinations?
technically undead.
so Pernie will submit to like a ceremony of like memory and maybe like confronting a difficult trauma thing. Pernie's not going to be the dad who didn't show up for 100 years, comes back and just gets so high all night before then doing a like 0 sleep funeral. That's
No.
a step too
I
far
think-
for him, but he'll do a ceremony.
I think
It's still
Morgan
the end of
will.
the sleep funeral. You don't sleep.
Morgan's gonna, like everyone will sit around a fire and do a toast about her. I think that's the simplest
Sure.
ritual
Yeah.
that we can do.
Is Copernicus willing to participate? Like, are you willing to you've
Yeah.
been hiding a lot of hiding from a lot of this, hiding a lot of things from the party. How
Well, look how great that's been working for me, Lane.
Didn't want to say anything, but
I mean,
I think this was like legitimately a wake up call for Pernie about like living in his little fantasy version where like he doesn't quite confront Barb being dead. Like this is one time where it was a real done fucked up. So I think this is a bit of a wake up call, and he's willing to do a thing he would not normally be brave enough to do.
And how invested are the members of the party in this process?
I'm very invested as my ancestor.
Yeah.
Okay.
On top of that, I've also interacted with her because I've fed her and I've had my interactions with her. Like,
This is my
and I have
Squidward
a slight
family,
bond.
and I am an adopted member of it.
Alrighty
So let's
then.
go. Let's do this.
Yeah, Morgan's
You-
very
you
much
sit
in it
around.
because this ceremony is about what she does.
So you all sit down. So describe the ceremony to me. You started. You said you're making a little fire for everyone to sit around.
You want me
burn
to
some
cast
sage.
ceremony for this?
Oh yeah.
That would
We
be
got a
highly
cleric.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to cast the actual spell, and I have not taken damage really. Yeah, no, I took a little bit of damage, not much. I will sacrifice enough blood. I'll sacrifice 20 points.
I'm
willing to
Morgan-
bleed.
Morgan's gonna put together a spirit plate for Barb, which might just go in the bucket. She's not sure exactly how that would best work.
Cromlin's fed her before. He can help her with that. That's easy. Like that's. In fact, Tromlin can tell her what to put on the plate too.
Mhm.
At this point, because he has fed Barb quite a few times. And I will also, basically, I guess, give it blood. Like, well, I'll pull out a goblet and fill it with blood. Blood.
But you said a
My own
goblin,
blood.
and I was like, oh, the poor goblin.
Open your mouth. You're gonna
Drink
pop like a deer tick. But
Okay.
So basically, like that's the goblet, for the guest of honor, which would be Barb.
I guess what would normally be like an empty seat would be Barb on a stool.
Like the bucket
Yeah.
on the stool.
I'll get Barb's favorite chair from like the dining room.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you going to attempt? So this sounds like less like you're just trying to dredge up memories, and you're actually trying to do something with Barb, or do you want to do these two separate things?
I think let's make it all. It's evolving like it's one thing. Let's see what happens.
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to try and find something in the house that is of fairly significant importance to Barb
So
before
I
you
think
get into the ceremony?
I think that at this point, the ceremony may be a multi-stage one where like we start, Pernie's told some stories,
Gotcha.
we're getting a little bit attuned. And I think at this point, when he goes to the chair, he'll be like, he'll go to each of you and share like one strong memory he has of Barb that reminds him of them, like a story that he thinks that like Ugna would find funny about like the time that Barb ate like, I don't know, like 1 million baklavas because like just that she was like on a really sweet tooth that day, and
Yeah.
we'll tell Fetid about like the like weird creatures that she always took a fondness for, and like go around, and then he'll just say like we just wander around the house. If in the next half hour you find something that feels attuned to her or reminds you of her, bring it here. Just whatever it does that reminds you of her, we'll bring it here and we'll see what happens.
Cool.
This is not official magic. This is Pernie just trying to get everyone attuned to the groove.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So I am going to remind you of something before I launch into this, which is that you have all these memories that are suppressed. You're going to be trying to bring these forward, but also Morgan and Tromlin are going to lead this as a ceremony and put some real magical effort into it. And so Morgan, you have the seer trait.
Mm-hmm.
So as the story begins, so Copernicus dredging up his memories. Let's get those intelligence rolls, those intelligence saves, essentially
From everyone.
for how much you can remember.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
this
just
is
for
entirely
Pernie.
Copernicus. But because of all of the help that you're getting in this, you're going to roll these as intelligence saves, but you're going to roll them with advantage.
Okay.
And Tromlin has the ability to give you the extra D4
Ooh.
Oh, resistance.
from yeah.
Okay.
But you
So
roll a d4.
No, he
Let
can
me
roll
see.
it, but in any case, so roll your
That's fine.
roll your intelligence save, the first one,
yeah,
with
Cromwell-
advantage and the extra D4.
Randy, you roll the d4s for me. I like the idea of adding it together.
Sure.
Okay, rolling with advantage. Here's the first one.
All right, let me roll a d4 right now.
Cool. I'm at 19, so you can get me to a 20. I'm hoping here on the first one.
Good news, you're at 23.
Nice.
Hey!
Right.
Victory in the first one.
Excellent. That's the first one.
Okay, number 2.
Number 3 of them I'm looking for. Second one.
Is 16 before the resistance.
And then the
Bonus.
bonus from Randy.
Oh, yeah, hold on. It's only 17 this time. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, that's decent.
And the third one.
Ooh, not a good first roll. Third one is 10 with before resistance.
Do you want to spend?
Yeah, I do.
Inspirational.
Can you put an inspiration on that?
It's gonna still be the 10 plus
Ah.
whatever Randy can dredge up on the d4.
Or you
Can
just
I
roll the
spend an
same thing?
inspiration on it?
Remember, you re-roll with
Nope.
advantage if you're spending the inspiration.
Oh, okay. I only rerolled once. Hold on. Oh my goodness, they don't want the dice don't want that last one to go
Oh
well for me.
no.
Hmm.
So we're still looking at a 10 before the guidance or the resistance.
I am going to do something I don't often do. I am going to allow the various other people's energy here to
I
have
can luck
others
it.
spend inspirations for you.
Yeah.
At a 1-to-1 instead
Oh,
of 2-1.
actually,
will-
let's
I can
do
luck
that
it.
first.
Yeah.
Morgan is
Hmm.
willing to take a.
Yeah.
Silvery
Let
bar.
me just double check.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is technically only supposed to work for you, but I
Yeah.
think what I'm going to do here is if 2 people are willing to put inspirations into this,
Yeah, I'll
I'm
put
going
one in.
to-
I haven't used any in a while anyway.
so
I
one
was
from
gonna say
Fed,
if
one
there's a
from
way
Tromlin.
to utilize my sorcery spells or my sorcery points
Yeah,
or spell
you're
points.
going to
into
do
this.
you're going to do the sorcery point luck thing. So roll again with advantage, Copernicus.
Okay.
Should I wild magic?
Yeah, and I'm going to have you roll a wild magic effect.
I'm ditching that die for now, and I'm switching over to my moss and bone necromancy dice.
Ooh, nice.
We're
Excellent.
in
excellent.
that mode.
I'm also putting a bonus on this roll, but go ahead and roll it first.
Am I rolling a
Sure,
d20 or
yeah.
2d10?
Your
Nat-
percentage.
Fucking 20.
Nice.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so worth
Yeah.
it. Oh my god.
That was
Thank you,
the big
thank you,
one.
thank
So
you.
let's get this wild magic effect,
47 for the first one,
and you get to choose,
and
of course.
39. 47 and 39.
So 47 is that for an hour you can walk on walls and ceilings,
Ooh,
which isn't super
fitting.
it's not particularly useful because you're not gonna, I mean, it might be, but probably not. The other one is that everywhere you go for an hour, you leave a trail of growth wherever you step: flowers, fungus,
Ooh, pretty.
moss, things.
So that one
growing.
for sure.
Okay. So
And that'll be
that begins to occur around where you're sitting as this ritual proceeds. So,
Aw,
Copernicus,
flowers
you
to bark.
begin sharing your memories. The first roll was recent memory about the house and trying to remember more about what's going on with the house here. And so that first roll includes remembering what's up with cousin Carax. So you finally broke a 20 on that roll. Cousin Carax is one of your extended descendants. He is a cousin, therefore, several times removed to Lucretia, which is where he would be a cousin. And He is a form of revenant. He is a pseudo undead thing. He's going to be multiple decades old. He will extend back to the time when you once lived in this house. But you remember, in connection with Carax, you remember some of the necromancy experimentation that you, and to a certain extent your daughter Lucretia, and to a certain extent Barb, were involved with at the house. In particular, you recall when Lucretia was young, her uncle teaching her some necromancy, and of course her uncle is your brother-in-law Sheki. And you remember where some of that took place in the catacombs beneath the house. The second roll, where you only got a 17 total, is some relevant memories about Barb's possessions in the house, and you don't have a lot of specifics here, but you definitely do remember some items that were destroyed, that some of the bits of which, you remember Barb had like a tiara type of a crown sort of thing, and that the bits of that are in the bucket, or were. But you remember that there was other stuff that went with that crown that wasn't stuff that would fit in the bucket. In particular, you remember a rod, like a scepter, a rod in D&D magic item terms. And that's got to be, or parts of it, somewhere in the house. And then most importantly, you remember how Barb died, which was the last one, which you ended up with a nat 20 on.
Ooh.
Thank you, team. Thank you, team.
And as you began telling some of these stories, and then this isn't really, in addition to that is other stuff that I didn't specifically have rolls on, but stuff like some of the adventures that you and Barb went on. And as you tell these stories, some things that become maybe more clear to you that you've repressed and obviously come out in the storytelling. It's very clear that as you've known Barb was some kind of undead. That, Barb is much, much, much older than you. Barb was undead long before you were born. Which makes it interesting to consider exactly how Barb had a daughter and other children, because obviously that's, Lucretia wasn't the only offspring. Actually, I think Lucretia is your only offspring, but all of the rest of the family passes through Lucretia, unless they're older members of the extended family, right? Like cousin Sextus. He should be cousin Nonus in like how Latin names are supposed to be, but whatever. We'll just keep saying Sextus because it's easier, and funnier. But so that kind of thing starts to become a little bit more clear, that some of the extended members of the family are not undead, and some of those have long since died, and many of them are laid to rest here, and others died but they left spirits and ghosts and wraiths and other such things behind. And still others just went off into the world and lived natural lives. Many of your relatives that you've met in the campaign are alive today and not particularly undead. Some of those have other means of extended lifespan. So, for example, Albania Sunshine, who is much older than she should be, but that's magic for you, wizardry. There are other ways to extend one's life in D&D. But you remember, and as you remember Barb's death, it becomes a vision. As the smoke billows out from the fire that you've started here, it becomes your seer ability to have prophetic visions, Morgan, but it's happening for the whole group. because you're all putting this ceremony together, and you all witness Barb's death, and there is a curtain of sand, a storm in the desert, very like your last vision. And as the storm parts in the desert, you see an obsidian, shining black stone pyramid. The gates of this pyramid are open, and the view, the camera angle, zooms and descends through the sandstorm and into this great chamber. And in the chamber, you see Copernicus. And it takes you a moment to understand that it is Copernicus, because it's Copernicus before he died, question marks, like much heavy quotes and so on. He looks very similar to what he does now, but his hair was fuller. It was, but he was already, I think, what did we say, like a 70-year-old man or something, or 60-something-year-old man at the time. But he was one who was in great health and magically life extended already then.
Or
but
if Sean
he is
Connery,
lying.
then up.
Yeah. He's lying on the ground, bleeding out from wounds at his wrists, and there is a great circle and pentacle of blood that has been clearly made from his own life's blood all around him. And you all see Barb standing there. And I am picturing Barb as a very obviously lich-like undead lady, but based on the design of the wife from Up.
Mm-hmm.
She bears, she's wearing like regal robes and wrappings that have like an ancient Egyptian look to them. She has a tiara-like crown, and she's bearing a scepter with a scarab head with a great gem diadem in the center of black cut obsidian, cut like a gemstone. And from it, like, there's an anti-light glow. There's like a darkness that glows from it. And her eyes are glittering red like jewels. Fetid, you practically have like like you yelp with a bit of a flashback, because you remember distinctly seeing those red jewel-like eyes, or eye-like jewels, like actual red jewels, when you glanced into the bucket.
Ah, yes. Lovely flashback.
Like those little red stones were in there, and they are now looking out of this face in this vision at you.
Great.
And
Hi.
it's very, very unsettling. Like you give out a yelp.
I'm so glad we got the shrooms out of you before this.
Oh God.
And before this blood circle and Barb standing there facing you is an enormous dais, like a secondary smaller pyramid within the big one. At the top of this dais is an enormous throne carved from pure obsidian, like a thrust stone out of the depths of the earth, of volcanic glass that has been carved into this enormous ornate throne. And sitting on the throne is an impossibly large, like 15-foot tall if it was standing, figure of what is obviously not a man, what is clearly some sort of spectral godlike thing, of shadow and death, wearing an enormous like pharaoh's headdress, unconscious, lying on the floor a distance away, as though he has been defeated in battle or sent flying by some kind of massive attack, is the form of another man lying silent, and this other body also looks somewhat skeletal, similar to Barb, and most of you recognize, maybe at least after a glance, that is Shecky. And Barb is standing between the blood circle and Copernicus and the thing sitting on the throne. And she's brandishing the scepter at it. And you all hear this like unearthly, terrible voice that sounds a lot like Copernicus's voice when he casts spells, emanating from Barb's throat. The jaw just kind of sinks open and the words come out, much like you remember Elemi the Lich. And as she says, no, not this one. He should not have signed. This should not happen. And then this just echoing from the heavens voice of, no, daughter, it is too late. It is done. And he reaches out, and the figure reaches out a great big hand, and black energy lances out. It's going to strike Copernicus. And Barb throws herself in the way, scepter first, and is blasted into dust and fragments. And then the energy strikes Copernicus. And the vision ends.
Lane, I sent you
And
a DM.
Copernicus, yep, Copernicus, you remember that place, that space. You remember that space. Can I get Tromlin? Can you roll me a d20, please?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was good timing. I maxed.
A nat 20.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then I don't need to ask for any further rolls. I think I know what's going to happen there. Copernicus, you remember being in that chamber, kneeling on the floor, weeping as you swept the remains into the what was once an ancient type of burial jar, like a preserving urn. With runes on it, which you then immediately grab some wire and fashion a little handle for, and it is in fact your bucket. And I mean, you rolled a nat 20 on the memory. That's Barb tried to stop you from becoming a warlock,
Oops.
and that's what destroyed her.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So I think Pernie. What do I roll to produce tears?
You
Dust.
I have a jug.
Like-
I can produce up to like 3 gallons of tears for you.
Yeah.
blood. Just I mean, you've got the ability to just do this with your blood magic. You just start weeping blood,
Yeah, I think Pernie just starts crying.
black
Yeah.
blood.
Morgan's just been like in the
All of you
trance
witnessed
of
this.
making the vision, and as it fades and the light leaves her eyes, she just like sits and kneels in front of the fire crying.
Ugna shakes herself and kind of is like, oh, I had too much to drink. Oh. And then sees that Pernie is crying and will give him one of those awkward side hugs. Like, pull him into a hug.
I think Pernie will pull Morgan into the hug. And anyone who comes close at this point, he's
Yeah,
just like
group hug.
sobbing and reaching for people.
Yeah, Ugna will help. I
with
just
his little-
gather
little
everyone in
short
my
arms.
arms. And
Yeah.
just squish us all into a pile.
Probably not
There's
everyone.
Oh.
So you turn over to
Trombley.
Tromlin. and Tromlin is shockingly pale and pitches down onto his knees. And you can see that he is holding Copernicus's ritual dagger, which he has clearly pickpocketed off of you,
No.
as he has bled out almost entirely into the bucket
No.
or into the whatever you guys were using for the ritual bowl or something.
So I
So
go to
Pernie-
grab Tromlin and pull him into the hug, and I see this, and I immediately let everyone else go.
Pernie doesn't spare the dying immediately to stabilize Tromlin, and says, "This one person has already sacrificed himself for my mistakes, and we will not have that again."
Buddy, no,
Tromlin?
no.
Tromlin, I love
I
you.
think
I love
Trauma
you
isn't saying
so
a
much.
lot because he just gave up almost all of his blood.
Yeah. I'm like fully cradling you now as Pernie does his magic.
Yep. Tromlin's at like 1 hit point.
I think Fetid, do you have any healing left? Anything you
Yeah,
can do?
yeah, pretty sure. I can't remember. I used a fairy fire during
Oh.
the demon
Yep.
chase.
Morgan's just wrapping his wound in
Pernie.
a fabric that she can grab.
And I like grab Pernie by the collar and be like, Pernie, you're good at blood stuff, right?
Yeah. I'm good at blood stuff.
Okay, I have lots of blood. Tromlin has no blood. Fix it.
Can I medicine roll?
Yeah, you can start working on medicine, but Fetid, yes, you do in fact have first level spell slots left. You used up all your second level, and
Yeah.
you used 2 of your first level because you did a Hunter's Mark on the fight and you
Right,
did a Fairy Fire, but you haven't used any other first level spells yet.
Okay, yeah. So I've got a
You
couple
got
cure
2.
wounds that I can do
You
then.
got 2
Yeah.
cure wounds you can pull out.
I would
All
like to
right,
give you
cool.
a magical blood transfusion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Pernie knows that that's not possible, but that Ugna wants to help. So I think
Yes.
Pernie's going to set up with like his own blood, a little blood magic tube that looks like something's happening, so that Ugna can focus on having a task. But
Good.
it's just like it's just looping it back into her. There's no actual thing
Well,
happening.
Just to make me feel better.
While this
Yeah.
is going on, Lane, I'm gonna probably regret this. Can I take a black token
Oh.
to use, having used all my blood,
Yes.
to cast Commune with Barb?
Yes, you can, and I'm going to take that for a couple of things to happen, and that'll be one of them. So yes, indeed,
Good,
a black
good.
token. Alina,
While they're
please.
all
I
freaking
put
out,
that on
I'm
there.
communing with the spirit.
Yeah, you can commune with Barb's spirit. It's still out there. And in fact, I'm going to check the actual spell description and just go, what exactly is the limitations of
I can
it?
ask 3 questions. I can be answered yes or no.
Yeah.
Oh, big stretch.
Yep.
Big stretch.
Go for it.
Okay. Oh, fuck, I should have thought of this further.
Well, if you want to give it a minute to think about it, there's
You don't
2 other
mind,
things that are
yeah.
going to happen from your black token. So as you're kind of scrambling to stop, I'll get Jeff. I'll get you to roll the number of hit points. So it's a D8 plus your +4 spellcasting bonus.
All right. All right. That is 8 total.
So 8 hit points, total of 9, gets Tromlin away from the edge.
Well, immediately cuts
Copernicus.
himself again.
No, damn it! Stabs it in his eye. No. No. So Copernicus, as part of that black token, as all this conversation is happening, like you had these memories that came back to you, and I'm going to add to them because of that black token. So you remembered that the bits of that scepter, that rod, are still in the house somewhere. You have the sudden memory. You're like, wait a second, I know exactly where that stone is. That black stone from the scarab scepter. And as you sort of like wheel around and turn around, of course the servants are nearby because they're constantly like lurking out of corners. And Slimeworth kind of like pops up from behind a tombstone and says, "May I help you, sir?" And you're like, "Get me that stone. This is where it is." And he like vanishes behind the tombstone, and there's a creak like some kind of weird grave-related trapdoor, and he rushes off. The second thing that you'll remember is the one of the things that's involved in empowering something like a wraith or specter or haunt is negative energy, which often comes from that person's death, which is how like a wraith comes into existence, for example. The one way that negative energy is often generated in necromantic rituals is that powerful undead can often do negative energy attacks or other sorts of things. One of them, one such way is a mummy lord can do that.
So I gotta go wake up. I gotta wake up Sextus real quick.
So again,
I'll send Slimer
you
to
snap your fingers again, and like Cuddle Spoon will like pop out of a hole in the ground, and he's just covered in dirt and slime, and he's like, yes, Maester. How can I help you?" And you tell him to,
Go fetch cousin Sextus post haste. Post haste. Tell him it's of utmost importance.
"Yes, Master, right away, Master." And he digs back under like Bugs Bunny in a cartoon, off towards the house. So at this point, Tromlin, are you prepared for your commune?
I think so. Commune was probably not the best spell choice, but like it's the only thing I can
Well,
think
what
of.
specifically are you looking for? You
Seems
just
to
want
work.
to talk to her?
I want to be able to actually have a conversation with her.
I mean, I'm
Since she
happy to
herself
base
is
it
not
off
a
of a
god.
commune.
Huh?
I'm happy to base it off of a commune.
Okay. If she's not a god, so I figure maybe it'd be easier to talk to her.
No, but she's pretty close.
Is she a
And
warlock
also,
patron though? Like that's kind of
like
godlike.
speak. Yeah, the thing is, speak with dead is not an appropriate spell here. Although you obviously that's an option because part of her body is here. Um, but that's just that like you don't actually talk to the person with speak with dead. You're talking to like the memory that person
The
had
imprint,
and can get
yeah.
questions out of. Yeah, like it's just a way to investigate shit. I'm happy with the black token. I'm happy to sort of, uh, you know, base this around a commune, right? So effectively, what we're doing here is um, there's that whole thing where um, clerics at a certain level can roll a dice to commune with um, uh, like the divine intervention, basically, right? And that normally comes at 10th level, but you're sort of going, I'm going to drop one of my top spell slots in a black token and do a sort of variation of that.
Yeah.
And and in fact, you can even make that more appropriate because you can grab. Remember, you randomize normally which of the gods you're worshiping on a given day, right? But you don't have to. You could just grab the appropriate um, uh, holy symbol from the chain, and I'm just kind of pulling it up right now, and pick one of the death related options, right?
Okay. And I would have done that, and I probably would have like jabbed it in my wound as well.
Nice.
So you guys see a holy symbol in my open cut.
Oh, Troblin.
I'm just double checking which one
Hey,
makes the
you all
most
get to do
sense.
like messed up stuff. It's my turn.
Says the guy who keeps
Oh,
fucking
it's
the
not
Fae.
so fun when you choose
Yeah.
another person.
Oh yeah, no, perfect. The one that you choose is Kutka, the Raven God of the North.
Yay! The Raven Queen's thrilled about this.
Yep. Um.
Wait, hear my child in the background giggling.
Yeah, you probably do, honestly. um, Morgan, you notice the tattoo, the raven tattoo on Tromlin's neck,
Hmm.
like opens its beak like it's laughing, much like you often see fey things happening around you.
Yeah.
By the way, all of the little anywhere where there's like pools of water or reflection around you, you just see like terrified fairy eyes or your reflection looking back at you as you like dabble in necromantic uh, uh, fun times.
But
I'll
emphasis
do
on the
it, but I'll
romantic.
only do it for love. For true
Wow.
love.
I mean, also, when you're in the Deadlands, might as well fuck around with some
Yeah.
necromancy.
Yeah, I mean, like you have one foot in the grave, literally. That's the thing you're doing right now. And in fact, Tromlin, you see a pair of the whole trio of sisters that are the house ghosts that were doing all of like the servant stuff. Between them, like struggling to carry this one stone. All three of them working and laboring together. And Copernicus, the stone very slowly and carefully floats over and lights gently in your hand.
Yeah, I think I will. Pernie does not want anyone to get hurt because of a mistake that he made a long time ago, which already got people hurt. But spilled blood is spilled blood, so he will dip it in what Tromlin spilled.
Yep. The
Like maybe coat it
moment it
entirely.
touches the big golden bowl of blood, it all is
Okay.
gone. The blood is entirely sucked into the stone and ceases to exist, and you're now just holding a stone full of blood, apparently.
And then I will place that in the bucket.
Okay. You pop the lid of the bucket open, carefully place the stone inside, uh, close the lid, and the runes on it start to glow a bit. It's stronger, and as they do so, you hear, um, "Cousin, what is happening here? Why have you summoned me?" And all the rest of you see this like the ancient Roman deathly mummy thing. I mean, you all saw him before when he came in with Lucretia, but most of you fled the room immediately afterwards, and you certainly didn't hear this awful voice coming out of him.
Morgan
Cousin,
Puffs of
is
dust. Actually, outside now he's outside. There are like flies that come in and out of his mouth as he speaks, buzzing around his head.
Morgan assumes that you are going to sacrifice this man for moments with your wife. And like this
This poor old
again,
man.
the realm that you work in is not her business. She doesn't know the morals, ethics of what that business is, and just is like running. So she is ready to fight. Like she like has subtly grabbed her cup, and like she's just like pretending to hold a moment in ceremony in that pose, but she is just like, he's probably gonna feed that man to the bucket. I gotta be ready to like
All
blast
of your
off some
fey, all
spells.
of
The
your little
bucket
fey critters
hungers.
around
Yeah,
have just noped the fuck out of here. There's like no fey energy
Nothing.
here at all.
yeah,
They're all like,
in a
fuck this.
in a
yeah.
rare
She's
moment of
just like,
insight, it may just be that Pernie has been hugging Morgan a lot during the ritual, but I rolled a dirty 20 on insight.
mm-hmm.
So Pernie might actually notice and just like gently put his hand on your hand and say, cousin Sextus, my friends are helping me complete a ceremony to perhaps restore some of Barb's strength and connection, and we could use a little bit of uh, necrotic? Is it necrotic energy? Death energy? What's the term?
what do they call it? Let me pull it up again. Negative energy
Negative energy.
is what they call it.
And we could use a dose of negative energy, especially from someone in the family. Would you be willing to assist?
Why, of course, cousin. At which point he sort of languidly raises one skeletal hand and points at the bucket. At which point he uses 2 of his legendary actions
Oh god.
to channel negative energy.
This is why we're not fighting him.
Mhm.
All creatures
Mhm.
within 60 feet, including ones who can't see him around barriers and corners and so on, cannot regain any hit points until the end of his next turn.
That's fine. We've already used
Cool.
all of our healing spells.
And he channels that negative energy into the bucket. Now, you're not actually using like a create undead spell, so this isn't gonna, like, this could legit be used to like make a wraith, or like to summon an undead, like a full on, not just hey Barb's spirit is back in the bucket, but like hey Barb's spirit is hanging out and punching you in the face or otherwise, kicking around.
Good.
Or doing other things to Copernicus. We won't need to get into that, but that may or may not involve punching in the face. I don't know what you guys get up to.
What you got your gun? That's fine.
Lane.
Yep.
I did just get a hero point.
What you thinking?
If you're saying this is already enough energy to create a wraith,
I don't know if you're connected enough. So this would, like, it's a 6th level spell. It's a 6th level warlock spell, right? The create undead spell.
Could I
You can
could I
actually
create-
turn a body into something.
could I use my? Well,
You
I'm
can
right now.
summon
I'm
Fae.
creating.
I know.
Well, right now I'm
here as a DM, and it's such a bad idea.
Okay. So
DM Lane.
my latest wild magic roll was to create flora wherever I go.
Mm-hmm.
Can I like reach into the earth and pull that like living on the unliving energy to help give her form?
Hang on, what did I just get? And there's something beeped. Is that a?
Don't worry about it.
I thought you were sending me a message or something, but I heard the.
None of us
I
know
haven't
this.
done it yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually,
Someone might have
typing.
just. I think someone just posted something in one of the threads. That's all.
is it possible? I don't know if this
Well,
is hero point sized, but
hang on. Pause for a second because I want to know a bit. I need a meta game moment because for example, like I don't know what Peter wants out of this. Like is like full on undead Barb returns to physical form and Copernicus is like, bye everybody, I'm retiring because I'm going to go off with my wife. Or like there's an NPC that's got to hang out with the group that is going to be Barb is now a character, or someone going to play Barb as a PC. Like there's some
What are folks up
extremes
for?
here.
So I think
I am willing.
Now I sent you my awful idea, Lane.
I am willing to empower Barb here, but I don't know that, like, unless this is like a character write out, I don't know that I would go as far as to say Barb's back, baby, because I think that would drastically change Copernicus's.
I have a pitch
situation.
that I think works really beautifully here. I don't know if it's hero point sized, but it's hero point sized to Pernie. And I think it honors kind of the moment that we've constructed as a group. So, Morgan, you put your wild magic on the line. You created the spontaneous effect that you had a little bit of choosing, but it was also the fate of the dice, which is all these flora that you've said. What if we grew a barb tree for Lucretia? A little tree that holds some core of her power that's grown from this moment that of all of us putting our energies together. Where like, and that just seems like very Lucretia, like to go sit under a gloomy tree that is skeletal and just like be with her mother.
And then she could talk to her mother, like you can talk to
Yeah.
her.
Yep.
I love
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Because the
That's
thing that I've
good.
been really stewing over this episode is like, how does Pernie hold on to some piece of Barb and also Lucretia have that? Like, she can't be with both of us at once. And if there's a way that she could, I think it'd be really beautiful. And that seems like it's really like honored by Morgan's magic.
100%, and I think that's a perfect solution. I'm willing to take the hero point because I think I'm also going to like this is going to be something that I think potentially empowers the bucket, like empowers Barb. We kind of had you have a flaw related to this that you are haunted by Barb, and that's been downplayed for some time because of Barb's loss of power. This is going to return Barb's power, but probably a little bit more than what you remember. Because I think that that's appropriate. And I think that that's appropriate for Morgan to spend as a hero point, because this is partly what you want in character, but it is also going to be partly a punishment.
You find spending that, Morgan?
Which I think is more of what Morgan
Yeah,
wants.
absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Morgan is like very sick of this like absent parentism and is like very like so much of what she detests about who she is and what she is that like people are obsessed with literal breeding over the people that live, the lives that come from that. They're like, we want to make a powerful, exactly. And so like to like that it is a partial punishment. I want to add to that. I want that to be extra spicy.
Oh yeah.
Because
I got it. I got you.
Yeah. Cuz she's like, you're not going to keep that. Like, you've been keeping Barb and she's not sure why or what happened or what your goals have been. But also like literally that's none of her business. That's your wife and you work with the undead. Like, I can't interfere with that and it's not my place as a person. But like to see that you did not tell your daughter, she's just like, she's gonna fucking be here. If we can make her be here for this person when you are absent, she will be here. Yeah.
Okay. So, here's where I'm going with this. So, Morgan, upon this like enormous release of energy from this ancient mummy relative of Barb's, who is only your relative by marriage, of course, Copernicus. Although also, who knows, like serving warlock master thing, where that connects weirdly. But now that you have placed this stone filled with sacrificial blood that is descended from Barb, and is the stone from her own source or symbol of power, you now, Morgan, step forward and raise your hands, and this wild magic effect emanating from you of like growth of moss and wildlife merges into a point as to where the fire has now died down. A skeletal black-barked tree rises from the ground and puts out dark, almost jet black, shining leaves and stark white flowers. Immediately, a chorus of delighted cackle rises from the area around. Tromlin, you can hear the ghosts, not just the ones that came here, the 3 servants, but also like the ghostly voices from all the graves around, joyously laughing. And for the rest of you, it's the voices of the servants and others here, like Cousin Korax appears out of the shadows and steps sideways into this space and begins tumbling about in delight, doing cartwheels. And the butlers immediately began bringing stonework over and starting to work on assembling some kind of mausoleum around this tree, an open-roofed circle of pillars. And there's a blaze of light from the runes on the bucket after the negative energy pours into it. And a beam of that energy goes out from the bucket into the tree. And Tromlin and Copernicus, you both hear Barb's voice from the tree saying to Copernicus, "And what time do you call this?"
It took fate comes at whatever hour it comes, my love, and I'm sorry that it comes at this odd hour. But it's time we told our daughter of what has come to pass between us this many years, for I've been too much a coward to return home and tell her. But now we have the chance to tell her together.
Well, past time, foot tap, foot type. And what is that? Is that a long black hair on your collar?
Honestly, we've been through a lot of different Underdark, it could be, but I don't know where it's from.
Were you
Just-
seeing that
Literally
posse
uncomfortable.
again?
I did visit Countess Nightshade just to stop a rebellion of your daughter's enemies from taking over the city.
Morgan is gonna smack him upside the head. Morgan will smack him upside the back of the head.
Good.
Tromlin raises a weak hand. It's like,
She doesn't hear the
Grandma.
other side of the conversation, but hearing what
No.
he's saying is just like,
He's
no,
stammering and just like,
no.
Yes.
Once you do that, the various servants and other family members here, including the ghosts, are all going to sort of start like ushering you all kind of away, like as everyone's sort of going,
moment. Take a
okay, that's gonna go on for a while.
Tromlin raises a very weak hand. It's like, Grandma, if it makes you feel better, the last time we saw her, she was being possessed and was not under her own control.
Oh, so she's not responsible.
No, she had something to do with him because she's someone else's puppet.
Yeah, you like the last time you saw her, she was like, or heard of her, she had been transformed into a raven. And
Yeah.
caged.
She is,
Yeah.
unless Grandpa has developed a fetish for birds, as she has been turned into a
No.
raven, she does not have hair anymore. She has feathers. And that came from the Underdark. Like, he has been around people, but he has also been constantly in our sight, and I promise you, he has not been fooling around with anyone. And if he were, I would rain hell down upon him.
When Tromlin says feathers, I look around for Cousin Carrix to see if I can see his reaction and try and remember what it is about feathers that's
He likes.
weird with him.
No, sorry, I never finished. You succeeded in that memory roll. That Carax is a revenant. Carax is a revenant ravenkin.
Well, okay.
Ah.
He is a revenant who was raised. So he is a family by necromantic blood.
Right.
I guess he's family. He's a cousin because he was created using family blood.
Yeah.
Like other members of your extended family.
Morgan's gonna loom over Pernie and be like, "You be truthful and communicate with your wife
I
as
will, I
honestly as you can."
I am, and I will.
He is very quickly not paying attention to you, Morgan, because he is very much now caught up in extended conversation with things you can't hear or see. Tromlin will bear witness to the fact that, so what you've said just now, Tromlin, actually placates her somewhat. But in addition, there's like just a roiling mass of spirits that starts to form around here. Not ghosts like you were seeing before, but they seem to be more like spiritual energies that are swirling around her as an epicenter, like warlock power orbitals. And of course, no one else sees that except Copernicus. You're experiencing it in much the same way you have been haunted in the past. The rest of you all get ushered into the house as Slimeworth goes, "Shall I put the kettle on, masters?"
Morgan leaves out a really big goblet of wine for her.
Aw. Ugna refuses to move. Ugna is cradling Tromlin, and if Tromlin's staying,
Oh,
she's
right.
staying.
It's true.
So
But
like she
you
will,
can-
if they come to usher her off, she like mulishly like just glares at them and shakes her head.
They don't like grab or pull on anyone.
No.
You're just not going to really understand what's happening because you'll only catch bits and pieces
I rarely do.
of what the other two are saying in a one-sided conversation. I just don't want to play through the
No,
entire
exactly.
Yeah.
conversation. The joke of like, she's there's like some otherworldly slippers and rollers, and she's got like some kind of spectral rolling pin that she's like, it's there's like an Al Cap cartoon meets the undeadest of Adam's Family cartoon.
You mean handicap?
Yeah.
Morgan will interrupt
Al
now and
Cap's
again
the
because
artist,
she's like,
right?
do I pour the wine on the tree or do I just leave it here? And we'll turn to Pernie and be like, yes? No? Like, she will pour some on the tree, on its
Yep.
roots. And it's just like,
But I'm going to
Yeah.
just
And wave
divide
that.
that off.
Yeah.
So like those of you who go back in the house, sit and have like late night tea with cousin Sextus, who is still like very obviously undead to you guys now. Uh, Tromlin, of course, having been healed by Fetid, is probably at some point like telling Ugna he's fine and don't worry about it. It's all good. No, you're gonna stay there no matter what.
I'm staying there no matter what.
Okay.
And in fact,
well, I
she
guess
when you
takes a
tell
dagger
her,
and sacrifices 9 more points.
yeah, she when you were like, I'm fine. Ugna's like, you almost died. I'm not leaving. And she looks furious with you.
And
doesn't-
it's not the first time I've almost died.
Yeah, but it's the first time you almost killed yourself. You left me once, Tromlin. I'm not letting you do it again. Not if I can help it.
I had to fight out of character for making the worst snide comment that would have probably made that would have made Ugin like, you're never leaving my sight again.
Just fully, just punch you across the field.
There's the other 9 hit points.
Yeah, can I punch hit points into you? Is that possible?
Yes,
Yeah, I
back
was just
to
gonna
my grandmother.
Yeah.
Morgan will just stay nearby. She's like doing some crafts. Just, again, like,
Grandma Barb, what you need to understand is your daughter, this is you. She's also facing a great adversary, the one that we've been dealing with, honestly. And there's a lot of danger on the horizon. Moreover, Grandpa Pernie wants to mend his relationship with her and finally make right by her. And that's why I gave you all the blood, because we also want to help you. You're my family. I don't have much, and I want to save what I've got.
So as you're calming her down, she's kind of becoming less present, less corporal. And by the time you kind of get through some of this conversation, it's just a tree again.
Did I make her madder? I don't know.
No. I don't know. In fact, quite the opposite. Like as you're sort of diffusing the anger, she's not like an actual person standing there that you're talking to and becoming more of an echo, right? Again, it's clear she wasn't like summoned back into undead life. She's like a haunting that Copernicus experiences. So I will say, Copernicus, as this kind of goes on, you start to realize that this tree is actually usable to communicate or to commune to some degree with Barb. at least every bit as much as your bucket ever was.
That is exactly what he wanted. I think that the night's business feels concluded. I think Pernie wants to see all of his friends to their beds to make sure that everyone gets rest and comfort. I think I can't remember if we were already doing roommates, but if not, he's definitely going to set up Ugna and Tromlin as roommates so that Ugna can keep an eye on him overnight. I
Yeah.
don't think there's anyone in this house who's good at putting hit points into people. We only drain them, so there's no one that he can really offer healing, but I think
In
making
a
sure everyone gets a good night's
sense,
sleep.
if anybody wants to just finish dying all the way, they can help you.
Yeah.
We'll leave that option in the back pocket. But I think Fernie just wants to make sure that everyone gets as good a night's sleep as they can have in the creepy castle.
You want to bunk up with me and Fetid?
That would be lovely.
Right.
That would be lovely. And
Well,
yeah, just
since I'm assuming nobody did any kind of nobody would leave the area, I'll just say that all of the various house servants either wandered off or continued their building of this monument to like just continue the the maintenance of the outdoor area. Probably Slimeworth and Cuddle Spoon just direct the spirits of the area to do the work and like eventually like just leave them to it.
Yep.
As you head back to the house, you'll see Zaxxas asleep in the yard, spooning with Ollie.
No.
He's just like lying asleep with Ollie's like got a paw over him.
He's a good boy.
He wasn't about to stay in the house with the rest of you leaving.
No.
They were up there with the hell out of
Swear.
Morgan's gonna do
And
face
cousin
masks
Corax
with.
Carax will be there with them. It's like
Morgan's-
Carax it just somehow has like slid himself into the spoon and they're all just there
That's
sleeping
vile.
together.
Morgan's
imagine
gonna do.
You imagine that Zaxxas is not yet aware of that.
Morgan's gonna do full slumber party with Fetid and Pernie. We're gonna have like face masks. We're gonna do like the hand and foot thing where you like have them like encased in wax to soften them, and you kind of like just hang out like that. And they're gonna paint their nails and tell stories about
Mhm.
Barb more.
Have a pillow fight.
Definitely, we're having a pillow
Aw.
fight.
the cucumber
s'mores.
slices instantly dehydrate the thin flakes of
The
cucumber.
moisture out of them.
Yeah,
So
They
you're
burst
doing
into
wax on his
flame.
hands. Bernie's like, oh, I used to embalm people like this.
It's a struggle for
Mm.
me to just not eat everything.
I think you can just eat everything. It's fine.
Are you all just
Well,
gonna go into one like the master guest room is big enough you could just all like
Yeah, I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
party up into
slumber
it? I just
party,
don't know
long
if,
rest.
unless Tromlin and Ugna wanted to go off privately or something.
That makes it sound dirty.
Could be.
I mean, I imagine Tromlin's got enough hit points to wander around if he wants to, but otherwise Ugna would be carrying him. So if you want to join in on the
Tromlin
party,
will
Ugna's not.
Apologize to Ugna. Like, I'm sorry I worried you. It was just the best way to get this taken care of.
What, dying?
I didn't die. I was very careful.
You
If
were
I wanted to
real
die,
close.
I would have put myself here or here or here. I do butcher for part
Let
of
me
my
explain
job.
to you
I know
exactly how I would kill myself.
Yeah. All the sneak attack points.
Listen,
It's
all
the
I'm
rogue knowledge.
saying, Tromlin, is that your grandma or whatever she is already dead, and that's not worth getting that close to death over.
It's not. I didn't do it for her. I did it for her daughter, and for Pernie. They needed it. It helps. And honestly, if Pernie's daughter is facing the Necrogog, she's gonna need whatever help we can get her.
You know I'm not leaving your side, right?
That's fine. I'm sorry I worried you.
All right.
I think at the end of that conversation, Pernie comes up and says, "Yeah, I think keep an eye on him and Tromlin. Thank you,
Oh, I'm going to.
but you really have to work on your. You could have talked to us. You really have to work on your communication skills." And then he walks away.
Really?
Oh,
Morgan from the across the room. Really?
Oh boy.
She just like furiously mixes the like
Oh,
mud
man.
pack, like a bulk big bowl of the mud pack for everyone to wear. Just
Mm.
Tromlin will also take the gold boot off and put it in his backpack.
There's
Because
no ghosts
he
tonight.
probably wants a night of not seeing ghosts everywhere.
That's fair.
Yeah, I imagine too that Fetid tries to cast the alarm spell and immediately gives up because there's just like
Ghosts passing through. all the
spiders
time.
big enough to be considered monsters wandering around. There's like
Yeah.
a disembodied hand skitters through the room at
Mhm.
one point to like
Even the wallpaper is haunted.
leave some kind of thing. Like yeah.
Ugna stands watch
At one
all
point
night.
you wait, somebody wakes up and cousin Carax is just perched on a chair staring at them.
that's
But-
Morgan. Morgan will kick Pernie. Be like, "What did I say? What did I say, Pernie?"
I'll go talk to them. And Pernie repeats the spiel that he gave about how we're not going to creep out and we're not spying on anyone, we're not creeping out any guests. That we have our cultural eccentricities as a family, but some things cross the line of hospitality and aren't appropriate.
You're also quite distracted because like now that you're haunted more significantly by Barb, and in fact the haunting is like more significant than it has been in years. I don't know how that might manifest in the night as you sit and not sleep.
I think someone tuned the radio to the Barb channel, cranked the volume, and then smashed the knob off. And that's how Pernie lives right now.
See, my brain went to that scene in Ghostbusters where Dan Aykroyd's laying in the bed and the ghost appears above him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I was
blowjob
just gonna
scene.
say that is there like, makeup necromancy?
I think at some point Pernie quietly excuses himself and goes out to fuck the tree. Like,
Oh my god!
As you do.
Morning wood.
You know that tree is equipped, okay? It's a
Yep.
tree that I
Yeah.
made. That
Yeah.
tree is fully set up.
that tree has settings, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. At the very least, it can be used for pegging.
There's branches at various heights and thicknesses.
One size fits all.
Who's a naughty girl? KNOTT. Burl.
Like
Okay,
a naughty burl.
No! No.
And I think I'm gonna wrap here because this is such a good point.
Woo,
Yeah.
cut that off.
We're like slightly early, but no big deal.
Yeah.
Good.
Naughty
So I
Burl
think-
is the worst.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna call it there for tonight. So, Alina, what am I rolling?
Which was being weird earlier and glitchy, so I don't actually have tonight's subscriber list. I will see if it's up afterwards. But it was just
Okay.
not loading. So I guess I'll
Did
post on
we-
Discord.
Did we do last time's?
Yep.
Okay, I couldn't remember
Naughty
if we actually did it.
Pine. Ugh.
Oh no.
Ugh.
Good.
So, the usual.
Anyway.
Who's anyone got anything to shout out here?
I just want to say thanks to like the party for an incredible episode here. This was a very
was a
sweet.
great one.
I really dominated so much of the storytelling time, and you guys were just really generous with the way you participated, and I really appreciate that. So thank you so much.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a great episode. Oh, I made
Like a heavy
TikToks. I made a.
I like a heavy roleplay episode.
Only thing I got to shout out is a thirsty TikTok of Ugna, which
Nice.
is out there. It's on the Discord.
Check it out. I am done with Empyrean Rising. We wrapped that chronicle, but we are still running our fairy game. The next one will be the 29th of November. So you can check me out on twitch.tv/Altered Echo Archives. I am playing just a mess of a rock star who has been sucked into fairyland. It's very fun.
Perfect. Great.
Excellent, excellent. Anybody else have anything they want to shout out before we call it quits?
Nope, nothing here.
As
Take care of
always, make sure
yourselves.
you check
Those
out.
could be a
Story
hard
Engine would
holiday
make
season.
a great Christmas present. Just
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
Christmas is coming
Story-
up.
Story Engine, storyenginedeck.com, etc.
Hell yeah. Oh, I guess I'm going to be at PAX. If anyone's going to be at PAX, I'll be at PAX Unplugged. Come check it out.
Nice.
I will be at the
Awesome.
Nomnivore booth.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. And maybe
Indeed,
just wandering
indeed.
around looking at stuff.
Okay. Check out everybody's
Before
comics.
Christmas.
Links are on the
Links.
thing. And we'll see you again in 2 weeks for
Night all.
the aftermath in the next morning.
Oh
and,
God.
and maybe the last game before Christmas?
And that will likely be the last game before Christmas. Or sorry, wait a second. I think we already determined 2 weeks. No, 2 weeks is not possible for me. We
Right.
were talking about this earlier, Lena.
Right.
It's going to have to be 3 weeks, and that's going to definitely be the last
The
one before
10th.
Christmas.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think that the
December
10th is our
10th.
tentative
Mark your calendars.
next game and last game before Christmas.
Nice.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
See ya.
Catch y'all
Bye.
later. Bye.
Bye.